welcome to New Rose Glow. I'm doing Annabe's 7-step formula to success in her School of Affluence, and today is day 67. I want to talk a little bit about something that I've been really successful with, and that's setting resolutions that I stick to. I have a few strategies that help make me successful, and I'd like to share them with you today. So, the first thing I'm going to talk about are how to set resolutions. The second thing is how to stick to your resolutions. And the third thing is some of my personal resolutions. I just want to walk you through how I go through the process of resolution setting. So let's go ahead and begin. First things first, create a wish list. You want to go ahead and get into a flow state and start writing down just a stream of thought of things that you would like to complete in the year. Now these can be small things or really large things. Don't judge the scale or the magnitude of the thing that you're writing down at the moment. Just go ahead and write down everything that you think of. Now that you have your list of dream goals to complete, it's time to recon-do it and narrow down that list to only the things that spark joy. If you have a long list of things that don't really make you excited, the likelihood of you having the energy to complete it is just very, very low. Take your narrowed down list and separate it into categories. One reference I like to use is the Life book. It talks about 12 main categories for your life when you're setting goals, and I think it's a great reference whenever you're doing resolutions as well. If you live in the United States, you've probably heard of setting SMART goals. Well, you're going to set SMART resolutions. S-M-A-R-T. The S stands for specific, the M stands for measurable, the A stands for attainable, the R stands for realistic, and the T stands for timely. Being specific with your goals really means narrowing down exactly what you want to happen. So instead of saying, I want to lose weight in 2020, you might want to say, I want to lose specifically 20 pounds in 2020. Making measurable goals is all about making goals that can be tracked. So instead of saying, I want to lose 20 pounds and leaving it right there, go a little bit further and say, I would like to go from 170 pounds to 150 pounds, and in order to track it, I'm going to use my scale. Make sure your goal is attainable. If losing 20 pounds in 1 year isn't realistic for your body type or for your health conditions, then that isn't a goal that you should put on your resolution list. Creating a realistic goal is very similar to creating an attainable goal. It just goes one step further and requires you to reflect inwardly and really think, would I complete this goal? Am I going to complete this goal? The last thing you want to do to create a SMART resolution is to put that T in there for timely. So it's one thing to say that you want to lose 20 pounds in a year. It's another thing to say you want to lose 20 pounds in exactly 3 months or in exactly 7 months. So set some sort of time limit for when you need to complete your goal. The fifth thing I do to make my resolutions I got from Tony Robbins, and that's to consider the pros and the cons of completing your goal. So what are the positive things that are going to happen if you complete this resolution? Are you going to fit into that dress that you want if you lose that 20 pounds? Are you going to finally have the health scores that you wanted? And then on the negative side, the cons, what are the bad things that are going to happen if you don't fit that 20-pound goal? Maybe you won't fit into the clothing that you want, or maybe your health will fail, or something else that's terrible that's going to happen. And really consider both things to help motivate you to complete this resolution. The last thing I do when I make my resolutions is to create milestones and actionable steps following them. So with milestones, you want to think about the big markers within your goals that are really going to help you complete it. So if you want to lose 20 pounds, I like to think backwards. I want to lose 20 pounds. That means I have to lose how many pounds in how many weeks. So if I have a goal of 1 month losing 20 pounds and I want to lose 5 pounds every single week, I've got those broken up, 5 pounds every week. Now what about the actionable steps that create the weight loss for 5 pounds each week? I might say I'm going to eat healthier meals and lose a certain amount of calories so that I can lose those pounds. And that would be an example of an actionable step. I might also say that I'm going to exercise, or that I'm going to drink more water. And I wouldn't say more water, I would specifically say how much water I need to drink to lose that amount of weight. You might even meet up with a nutritionalist to really figure out what is a realistic plan for you to lose that weight. So it's all well and dandy to create your resolution list, but it's another thing to stick to your resolution list. I'm going to share with you some ways that I stick to my resolutions, and hopefully they'll help you with yours. The first thing I do is learn from my past mistakes. What are the things that helped me really move towards my goals, and what are the things that kept me away from it? An example is that when people speak really negatively to me, I'm more likely to not complete my goal or finish my action step than I am to actually do it. And when I get lots of praise, when I get lots of rewards, I'm way more likely to complete that goal or to keep moving towards it. So that's just one example of something that I've noticed when it comes to me completing my resolutions. Another thing you can do is set yourself up for success. If you are planning for that, I guess we're just going to use a 20-pound goal as the example, the main example for this video. If you're planning on losing 20 pounds, don't have a bunch of junk food in your house. Don't have a bunch of temptations that are going to set you back. Another thing that you could do is make sure that you have lots of good things in your house. So with the negative, you're getting rid of that, and the positive, you're adding more of that. If you had a different goal, like let's say you wanted to, one of my goals, if you wanted to learn French better, I would go around my house and paste little sticky notes of French words for the items around the house. That's one example of something that's positive I could do to set myself up for success. A negative thing I would do would be to leave my television on English speaking, because that certainly wouldn't help me learn French. The third thing I do is create a reward system. I love rewards. I love celebrating my successes, and I find that it really helps me and motivates me to keep going. So I set up a milestone list of when I complete this goal, I will also get this reward. And I set it up all throughout my journey. So I'm not just waiting until the very end to reward myself. I reward myself at every small victory. That way I am constantly getting excited. Sometimes if you wait until the very end to reward yourself, it might feel like that reward is so far away that you may never get it, so you might give up earlier than you should. Substitute bad behavior. If there's anything that's going to keep you back from your goal and it has to do with things that you do, self-sabotage, then I would replace that with something that's more positive. An example I found online was if you were trying to stop smoking and you like to take smoke breaks, go ahead and still give yourself a break. Just find something else to do during the break instead of smoking. One thing I like to do is eat junk food and lay down in my bed. And instead of eating junk food while I lay down in my bed, I could just lay down in my bed and maybe I'll sing, or maybe I'll do something else that I really enjoy but don't get to do as often. One thing I've noticed that's really helped propel me with my resolutions is total immersion. If you can surround yourself with your motivational quotes or with things that are gonna keep you on track, then that is something that's really gonna keep you focused while you're doing your goal. If you're doing the weight loss, maybe you surround yourself with motivational quotes about things that are positive with losing weight, things that you really want to accomplish when you lose the weight. Or you leave tips for yourself around the house on how you can lose weight better, or reminders for yourself so that you can remember to go to the gym or anything like that. Other things you can do are visualization, affirmations, meditation, prayer, petitions, anything that really gets you focused and aligned and centered on your resolution and not constantly distracted by other things. Another example I saw online was that when a horse is walking down the street or running or doing anything that has to involve going from point A to point B, they wear blinders on their face so that they can only see what's in front of them. That's kind of what you want to do when you're doing your resolutions. If there's anything that's going to distract you from completing your resolution, you want to minimize that or cut it out if you can. What I started doing in more recent years is having an accountability partner. It's so wonderful when you can do your goal with someone else and not feel like you're alone in this. It's also good when somebody can hold you accountable for completing your goal. So when you start feeling like you can't accomplish it, or when you're just not up for it at that moment, you have someone who's going to kind of kick your butt and make sure that you get up and do complete your goals, your small goals, so that eventually you reach your big goal. Create your own pressure. If you've ever noticed that it's a little easier to clean your house when guests are coming over as opposed to when they're not coming over, this is an example of creating your own pressure. When I really want to do something, I tend to invite people into the situation. So if I'm going to clean my house, I will say I'm gonna have a party on a specific day, and then I know I have to have my house cleaned by that day, or else I'll be very embarrassed with all my guests over. So it doesn't matter how the week has gone and how much I've procrastinated. The day before that party or the day of the party, I will hurry up and clean as much as I can. You want to do the same thing with your resolutions. So if you have a resolution of losing a certain amount of weight, maybe you plan an event that you're going to go to, or you have a get together with friends where you're going to weigh each other. I don't know if you have events like that. You do something that's going to require you to show off the completion of your resolution so that you have more pressure to complete it. I like to do this in milestones. So I wouldn't set this for the very end of the year, you completing your goal and then showing it all off. I would break it up. Maybe you show off small increments of what you've done at certain amounts of time. So if you want to, like, one thing I want to do is learn French. So I set up meetings with people who speak French in certain increments, and that also pushes me to practice my French because I don't want to be embarrassed when I go to the French meetup and I can only speak the amount of French that I could speak the week before. That's not a good look. So I definitely set my own pressure with that. Another thing I do to stick to my resolutions is celebrate all my wins. All my big ones, all my small ones, everything in between, I celebrate them. Because when I get excited about completing something, it motivates me to keep completing things. It's like when you're in school and they give you several small tests before giving you the big test at the end. If they just only give you that big test at the end, it might be difficult for you to gauge your progress and if your process is working, and it puts a lot of pressure on you to do the one thing right instead of figuring out if you're doing the small things right that lead up to the big thing. Lastly, it's something that nobody wants to hear, but prepare to fail. Now, I personally don't fail in my resolutions very often, but I will tell you, I prepare to fail for every single one of them. And that preparation gives me this wake-up call of what it will look like if I don't complete it. Now, that also is a motivator for me to continue working towards completing my resolution. But preparing to fail makes sure that you don't crash. So if you're looking to lose weight, if you don't lose the exact amount of weight and you aren't able to fit into that dress, maybe you lose 15 pounds instead of 20 and things just don't work out. You might go on a binge eating spree. Or you might just give up completely and stop working towards that goal. But if you set a plan in place as to what you're going to do if you don't reach that goal, then you're at least going to stay on track to finish that goal a little bit later. Maybe it's not in 2020. Maybe it's in 2021. That's still good. Now the fun part. I'm going to share with you a few of my personal resolutions. Please don't judge me. I am being very open and vulnerable with you. I'm going to only choose a category from my level up journey because this is a level up channel. So I'm going to go ahead and start with that. The first thing is I want to find more direction in my career. Now that sounds like a very vague one, but we're going to narrow it down in an example I'm going to give you on how I work through the process of setting this resolution. The second thing is I would actually like to lose 20 pounds. That would be a nice thing for me to lose next year. I'd like to improve my speech, so being able to speak a lot more clearly, to stutter less, to use less filler words. I would also like to improve my French, so being able to have a conversation with someone, even on an elementary level, where I don't have to keep saying "comment dire," which is how you say, and then like add the entire sentence of what I wanted to say. I also would like to make YouTube videos weekly. I know that I've been kind of sporadic with it, and I'd like to come up with a schedule that actually works for my life. I'm going to give you an example of how I break down a resolution goal. So let's take the first goal, finding direction in my career. That is from my career category. So if you look at the life book and you see all the categories that they'll give you, all 12 of them, I chose career, occupation, profession. I chose that category. The second thing I'm going to do is make it a SMART goal. So I'm going to make it specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. To make it specific, the first thing I'm going to do is decide on my main job. So what am I going to do in the next 3 years? For measurable, I'm going to make sure that this is a job that's going to earn at least 90% of my living wages. For attainable, I'm going to make sure it utilizes at least 70% of my existing skills. For realistic, I'm gonna think about my circumstances. I would like to find a job locally, and if it were online based or primarily online and I used talking to be a part of it, then that would be great. So nothing that has to do with manual labor or running around a lot. Now my timeline, making sure that it's timely. I'd like to complete all of this by March 27th, 2020. That's right when I'm finished with school, and I'd like to move right into my career. Now, as Tony Robbins suggests, I should look at the pros and the cons of completing this goal. Some of the pros are I'll actually be satisfied with what I'm doing in life. I'll be excited to get up and go to work and excited to be working while I'm there. I'll also be proud to tell people what I do. If I don't complete my goal though, and I end up going into a job that I really haven't planned out, then I'll feel like I'm wasting my life. I won't feel proud about what I'm telling people that I do. I'll most likely quit pretty quickly, and I'll be in emotional distress. I know that I'll feel bad about myself, and I'll feel bad every single time I get up and I have to drag myself to that job. When it comes to creating milestones and actionable steps, I like to work backwards. So I think about what my final resolution is, and then think about the things that it takes to get to that resolution. So if I want to figure out what I want to do for the next 3 years in my career, the first thing I need to do is define what a dream job or a dream career is. What does that mean to me? What does that look like? Before I can do that, I need to explore job options. I need to go places and meet people who are doing different jobs that I think could be great and see what an actual day in the life looks like. Before I do any of that, I need to figure out what makes me happy. What are the things I'm good at? I need to find my ikigai. So ikigai is something I learned more recently from Chris Do on The Future. It's a YouTube channel that talks a lot about business, graphic design, and overall success in freelancing. When you're finding your ikigai, you're going to discover what you love, what the world needs, what you can be paid for, and what you're good at. This will help you determine your passion, your mission, your profession, and your vocation. Now we can reverse the order back to the way it actually should be. So first I find my ikigai, then I explore different job options, then I define what makes these job options the dream job, and then I find the job that I'm actually going to do for the next 3 years. Simple, right? So let's recap. I just showed you how to make resolutions, how to stick to resolutions, and I shared some of my personal resolutions with you. If you like content like this, please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. If you like this video, please like the video, and I hope you have an amazing week. I can't wait to see you next time. Bye-bye!